See if this is doing it correctly. Hold on here. Sorry, guys. I know it's 1 o'clock. I'm trying to see if I get this right this time. Okay, now we're working. Okay, just let me adjust this a tatty bit. Okay, I'm not quite sure why that was going wonky there, but it's working now, so we're good to go. Just want to catch you up on what I did yesterday. So, talked about what I used for the tree, for the colors of the tree. It was a combination of the Indian yellow hue and the quinacridone burnt orange. That's what I used for the base. And then I like to continue to add texture and depth. So then I went back and I added, just brushing on the high parts, just the Indian yellow hue. And then I came back and I put the Indian yellow hue with a little bit of titanium white and used that for the highlights here, where the sun would be shining on it. Then I wanted to draw attention to the texture here. So what I did next was I got my Daler Rowney black ink, and I got the Daler Rowney Red Earth, which is really very close to that combination of the Quin burnt orange and the Indian yellow hue. And had I realized that, I probably would have used the ink right off the bat instead of mixing up paint here. But so it goes. Anyway, I mixed those two up and added a little water and just made a very liquidy part here and just spread it over and then blotted it off with a wet wipe. And so that went down into the little nooks and crannies. I saved the remains because I can still see, as I look at it further, I can see little tiny white bits, and that I want to touch up with this. That's the danger, or the bad part with trying to add so much texture, is it's really difficult to get in there and all the little nooks and crannies and crevices that you've got there. So that was what I did there. Up. We'll do that later. Okay. The next thing, we were talking about this relationship between the spring green, or the yellow green, and the red violet, that they are complementary to each other and therefore will make each other pop. So I wanted to, after I put my foliage down here, I wanted to make it even more of the spring green, I call it. And so I went back and I did a mixture of, what did I use? Oh, I did a mixture of the Kiwi, this is the Vivid Ultra Metallics, and the Green Gold Golden. Now here's the thing, they don't make these again. They don't make these Vivids anymore. They make the primary elements, which is the powder. And they can find the powder and mix your own Vivids, which is not a big deal to do. But I'm just using up what I have. So I mixed those two together and I brushed it in here on that. Here are another couple of alternatives without mixing. I also have this Liquitex Basics in a lime green. I could use that. This is a Studio Acrylics. It is an iridescent in the green yellow green, don't know why. It's really pretty. So I could use those. There's any number of products you could use. Let's see. I did go and I put some of the green in here, splattered it, which I like. And lastly, with the trunk, I'm going back and I'm adding, I don't know if you can see this, I'll get this really close up. In here, I'm adding copper. I'm dry brushing on copper. And once again, there are any number of things that you can use. I'm using the Sargent liquid metal on that just because it's just easy. I started out using the DecoArt metallic luster, but I mean, you gotta spritz it and wipe your finger in it, and it's like, it was just pain in the butt. So I decided to use this instead, and it worked really well. Another couple of options, the Golden has an iridescent copper light. You can also, this is a Liquitex copper basics. So, you know, depending on the price range of stuff you want to use, there's all sorts of options out there. Okay, so that brings us to our text. All right, let's center this. Got it right there in the middle. I decided to do 2 words, and those 2 words are just breathe, which I thought had a lot of different meanings considering what's going on right now, but we're going to take it in the most calming, peaceful, serene way possible, sitting under a tree, just breathe. This A on the end here is just a placeholder because I know I've already used the, I've already got another placeholder in there because my T would go there and my A would go there, all right? Or my E would go there too, sorry. Anyway, so I've got that there. Let me grab another placeholder. Where'd I put them? Excuse me. Okay. Because, there we go. I have a tendency to just do exactly what's in front of me. So if there wasn't something there holding the place for that E, or I mean that T, good Lord Almighty, holding that place there, I would just go B-R-E-A-H. I mean, I just do it because there it is. So this way I've got my placeholder. I'm going to put them on here this close together because these are about 1-inch squares here. The rectangulars, 1 inch. The letters are even smaller, but there's space at the top and the bottom, right, on each of these. So you've got, even if you print them right next to each other like that, you still got space in between your letters. So how am I going to do this? Okay, first off, if you try to print on a canvas like this and try to use a stamp or something, your canvas gives. You don't want that to happen. So National Geos, I just love Nat Geos, use them all the time for stuff. 4 of them work really nicely underneath there, and I have no give at all, okay? Just build up your magazines or books or whatever until you have it, and make sure that it covers the entire area that you're going to print. You don't want to, get over here and go, whoops, and then have to redo something. So make sure that your area is solid. Okay? Just move it down a little bit. There we go. There. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to make sure also that this is straight, right? When I put my letters on there, I want to keep them as straight as possible. I've got a million freaking rulers somewhere, and I cannot find one of them. So I happen to have a straight edge packet. Okay. Sorry, my daughter was FaceTiming me, and then my iPad over there was showing me one picture, and it was up here was another one. Sorry, space out there, forget it. This is glossy, and I put the Liquitex gloss varnish on here on purpose so that I have a smooth surface to print on so that I could wipe off if I needed to. I went ahead and did it everywhere just for consistency. However, I do not like a gloss finish on 2D surfaces. That's just a personal preference, okay? So once my printing is done, my ink here, my text, I will go back and use a satin varnish and go over this just to tone it down, okay? All right, back to here. Here's my straight edge. So, and I'm going to leave, let's see, I want to center that a little bit. I will leave these other letters up here just so that I know, okay, after I ink this up, I put it down exactly right there. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to use a carbon black paint. I like to use the paint just because it doesn't smear once it's dried. And I'm going to use a tiny, this is a number 4 brush, to apply the paint to my stamp here. Now, you got to be careful. There's your stamp. You don't want to get your paint down in here, because when you're pressing, you don't want to press down and then go, oh crap, I got paint down here and that shows up. So you need to be aware of that and be very careful so that you're only, taking my glasses off so I can see, you're only getting the top. And if you have any doubts about it, then do a print on a piece of paper or whatever's close to you. This is just painstaking stuff, okay? I'm gonna take a chance. And you just gotta have, this also helps steady your hands. Okay, now that has a little too much, to me, paint on it, so I'm gonna use my wet wipe. And thank goodness that I varnished, right? Because if I hadn't, I would have a mess there, and see it wiped right off. Let's see. So I'm gonna try it again here. Make sure that it's dry, because if it's not dry, then that's gonna smear all over the place. So, okay, let's try this again. Okay, because there's still paint on that. Okay, because I'm getting up there in age, you know, my hands aren't as steady as they used to be. So, okay, I'm still not liking it. Okay, you can see why this takes a while to do. So I'm probably not going to do all of the letters today, just simply because, oh my God, you could be sitting here for days watching me attempt to get this right. Okay, I'm gonna give it one more shot, man, and I'm gonna go with it. Third time's the charm, right? Slide it in there. Oh my God. Okay. All right. This is the way you're supposed to do it, people, and it does work if you have a steadier hand than I do. Oh my gosh. Okay. Crap. Okay, we're just gonna go with it, and I can fix anything I need to fix with a paintbrush. Okay, so now you know, I should have kept that there. Now you know what can happen. I'm just making sure my spacing is right since I moved those off here. Now you know what can happen. Worst case scenario, you do it just what I did. And I can go back with a little bitty tiny tip on there, and I can fix that, which is exactly what I will do, because that's just irritating me now. You know, alternatively, you could, if you had a black StazOn stamp pad, you could use that. And I have done that, and if I continue to be, you know, really irked at this, I might find it. You could use that stamp pad and then go back with your paintbrush and add paint on top of that. You could. I don't think that's close enough. Okay, that's better. Didn't match my J, but we're gonna go on. I'm gonna take that J off there, because that's just irritating me. Yeah, and you got a few minutes to work with that. Now I'm just eyeballing at this point. See, I have no patience, none. It irritates me when I screw something up, and I will not sit here and do it over and over again 50,000 times because I just don't have that kind of patience. So I just do it and wing it, and hopefully it works for the best. Okay. Okay. You know, I had to have one day where everything is just screwing up, right? I just had to have one day like that where nothing worked. This is my day, guys. Okay. This is my day. Okay, now I just printed that on this paper that I've got on the table, and it was just fine. It did a perfect S. Okay. One more time. Plastic thing. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So at this point, I'm taking both of them off because I'm going to try the stamp pad. But I'm going to have to do that later because I have no idea where I put the stamp pad. And I have lost patience with this. So if I try to do it anymore, what's going to happen is I'm going to take those letters and I'm going to throw them across the room. So obviously at this point, I need to clean it off. I need to step away from the table and I need to come back to it, okay? That's the general idea. I'm going to try to do that tonight and do it correctly, maybe without the stress of having the phone cameras looking straight down here. Maybe I'll be able to do it better. I have no idea, but I'm going to give it another shot and I will show you what it looks like tomorrow. Back to it though, make sure after you've printed, if you're using the stamps, that you clean them off with a wet wipe. You don't want that paint to dry on there and get into the little nooks there, or it will affect your printing. Okay, when's fun? That's done there. Okay, well that was totally unproductive today, wasn't it, guys? I'm so sorry. Okay, so we're going to go to that. So what's left after that? After that, after you've printed, if you're using paint, then you don't have to worry about it rubbing off. You can then, again, I will put my satin finish over this. If you are using a stamp pad that is not waterproof, my suggestion is that if you have any clear acrylic spray, that once your ink is dry, spray that with a clear acrylic spray because you want to set it. You don't want to put any kind of finish over this if that ink isn't set. Then that could be a major disaster, even more than me trying to print with this today. Okay, so that's really it. Those things we're talking about with this. So I want to give you some options because we're not going to do it next week, but the week after I will come back and I will do another round of classes. So I'm going to give you 3 options here to choose from, and I will put these pieces on Juju's, and the one with the most votes is the class that I will do. So we can continue with the trees and do something different. We could do the collage textured background and talk about those things. This is a clay tree, and I can show you how to do the clay tree. Or we could use the collage textured background and we do a tree on top of that. This is entirely texture paste. I did not use any eggshell and stuff in it. I just mixed some sand or some sawdust in it. So we could do that. And the last one, we could do something totally different, no tree at all. I did this years ago, so excuse it, it's not very pretty, but the idea is sound. This is a texture sampler. And what I did was I used my plaster wrap to create sections on my canvas. And then in every single section, I put a different texture. And then came back after everything was dry and then painted it just to see what it would look like, those textures would look like painted. So this might be something really fun to do, that you could go around your house and just collect different objects and materials and have that texture on hand if you're ever wondering, okay, what does it look like if I used netting, or if I used, oh my gosh, this is a Brillo pad. What would happen? So those are your 3 options. So you guys can choose from that and let me know. And week after next, I will be back on that Monday at 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we will start on whichever one of the 3 things gets the most votes. And I'm sorry once again for being just a total screw up today on the text, but I will show you that. I will post a picture later on today of what it looks like with the text on there. And do remember that you don't have to use a stamp pad, you don't have to use paste. You can use other things, the magazine cutouts or text cut out from books, whatever you want to do. And considering how bad I'm going with the text so far, I may just do that myself. So who knows what's going to turn up on here. Anyway, if you have any questions about any of this at all, just ask them in the comments and I will answer you to the best of my abilities. You guys, have a nice afternoon. Stay home, stay safe, and keep creating. Bye.